All right, guys, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be getting into a small 3-game slate on Tuesday. Let's go ahead and break it down. So starting with the guards, this is a very interesting slate, obviously, given the fact that it is a 3-game slate. With that, there is one game that we want to be targeting. It's going to be the Kings-Utah game. That is the game that has the biggest over and under, set at 240. The pricing is kind of soft as well for a lot of their good players. So like De'Aaron Fox is certainly someone you could play, but I feel like he is a little bit too priced up now. Can he have a ceiling game? Sure, but at the same time, I'm worried about it. Last game against Utah, he had 44, which at this price tag, that is not enough. We need to get more than that. So I don't know if we can really trust De'Aaron Fox at that price tag. On the flip side, I do really like Jordan Clarkson tonight. Jordan Clarkson is someone that went for 46 DK points against the Kings or against Utah in the previous game, or sorry, against the Kings in the previous game. And he is also someone, just if you guys are someone that plays prize picks, his point total, I believe, is set at 22 points. So you could easily, I don't want to say easily bet the over, but he has been right there. It's a close one, but I think he, in a higher scoring game, we should be able to get there. And it is kind of a soft price tag for someone that can go for 40 DK points. Love the fact that we can play him at the point guard or shooting guard position. From there, Kevin Huerter, currently questionable. If he says that could open up some value, he is someone that I think is a good GPP play, given the fact that he has been shooting a decent amount of 3 balls lately. 3 out of his last 4 games, he shot over 7 3 balls, getting over 30 DK points in those games. Obviously, just someone that you would play in a game stack, not someone that you're really going out of your way to play. Mike Conley is also a pretty good price point play, just given the matchup with the Kings. He is someone that went for 34 DK points against them in the previous game. Obviously, with a higher scoring game, he is someone that I do think we could and should be targeting on this slate. Shai does feel like he's just a little bit too priced up to the point where like we really can't play him, especially given that matchup with Boston. That worries me. Jaylen Brown, kind of at a interesting price tag. He is someone that if you just want to lock in a high floor of points, which on a 3-game slate, I don't hate that idea. He would be a decent route to go. Obviously, he kind of benefits from being able to play him at the guard or forward position, but not exactly someone you're really going out of your way to play. I will say Jrue Holiday is a very interesting play. He's someone that I do feel comfortable having a nice safe floor of around 37 DK points. Obviously, on a normal full game slate where we have more than 3 games, that you would want more than that. But given the fact that this is a 3-game slate, he's a play that I do think we should be trying to go out of our way to play him. That's assuming that he's going to be back healthy, playing a full allotment of minutes. Okay. That's a big assumption. Okay, we don't know that for sure. And the worry with Jrue Holiday and the rest of the Bucks players would be that, if Bradley Beal sits out again, then we have to worry about that game like potentially being a blowout. I will say Bradley Beal does feel a little bit priced up given his recent production. I was hoping we'd get him at like 7.8 and then we could really like him. Obviously $200 not a big difference there, but that stuff adds up throughout a slate. So with Shai kind of lacking in points lately, we've seen Josh Giddey actually been really consistent for really over like a past month. So he is someone, given the price tag, I do think we could target. I like Jordan Clarkson because he is a cheap possible 40 DK points, while I like Josh Giddey because he's a cheap probable 35 DK points. So I do like the idea of kind of going Jordan Clarkson, Josh Giddey, and kind of raising our floor up of our builds at a cheap price tag. Like those two could combine to go for 80 DK points, and their total price point would be like 12.8 or something like that. So a decent route to go. If we get news that Bradley Beal is going to sit, I do think Monte Morris would be the move. That didn't work out last game because he just shot the ball terribly. It was kind of a weird thing there. Derek White, just more of a shoulder shrug play, going to get you around 20 DK points. Definitely priced up a little bit too much, but once again, small 3-game slate kind of is what it is. And once again, I do think like with Grayson Allen, with Pat Connaughton, like if you're playing one of these guys, you're playing them to try to chase them shooting the basketball and getting hot. Okay. Given the fact that Giannis and Jrue are expected to be back, they're not really appealing plays though. So I probably would be looking elsewhere. So I do find Trey Mann to be a very interesting price point play. Just look at the shot attempts, guys. This is a lot of shot attempts over his last few games: 9, 19, 11, 8, 10. Okay. Obviously had a poor night shooting against Philly, but I love the fact that we could be getting, let's just say 4 made buckets from him. And if he gets 4 more, that's like 18 DK points, which obviously at this price tag, that's not too bad. Like he is a sneaky good value price point play. Not someone that's going to break this slate, but I keep saying this on a small 3-game slate. We need to find some plays that are really going to help us raise our floor, and then we can make some educated decisions with our GPP lineup. DeLon Wright, another one of those okay value plays at the guard position. like, if we're trying to get 16 DK points, he's not a terrible play. Obviously not someone we're chasing. Obviously not someone that's going to break a slate. Obviously not someone that's going to win us a GPP, but at the same time, he is someone that shouldn't hurt us too much. And that's really, if we're trying to do a studs and duds, that'd be the way we include someone like Wright. So let's go ahead and get into the forwards for this slate. I do still really love Giannis, but with Drew Holiday most likely back in this game, that's going to hurt Giannis's usage a little bit. It does feel like he's priced up a little bit too much now as a result. Okay. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad play. I'm not saying he can't put up 60 DK points. I just don't think we should be expecting like him to be a lock play, because he has that huge upside. With Drew Holiday back, his usage like dips about 10%. Okay. And his fantasy point total dips about 5 DK points. So obviously still going to be a good play, especially going against Washington. Not too worried about it, but at the same time, we are kind of paying a premium price tag for someone that most likely won't go off and break the slate like he had the past 2 nights. You know, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they are 2 players that have a nice high floor, but there are 2 players that really, it's tough to trust them day in and day out, just given their price tags. Okay. The matchup with OKC, obviously appealing. You know, I don't mind the idea of playing like Brown and Tatum in builds together, because if they both go off, you could easily begin like 120 DK points. You know, you could almost be more of a third of the way there to cash with just 2 players. Okay. Speaking of that, Donovan Mitchell last night. Wow. I mentioned he was like a GPP only play, but he was a GPP play because of his upside. I never imagined it'd be 100 DK points. I mean, that was insane. And that's just weird how like he's been so inconsistent with Darius Garland out. Some games just not good. Last night, that was insane. 100 DK points. And I didn't make that many builds last night. I made, I think 5, and I ended up on him in 2. Those 2 were close. My goal is to get to 400 DK points once this season. Came close. I shouldn't say came close. I was about 20 DK points short last night, which obviously it's tough to do, but just kind of crazy there. It was a crazy night in general with the Washington or with Golden State kind of having a lot of value that actually ended up hitting. So just a weird night. So I think with Bradley Beal projected to be back, I don't think we can play Porzingis, and Porzingis really had a bad night against the Bucks in the previous game. I don't know if I didn't really watch too much of that. I don't know if it was Brook Lopez kind of shutting him down. Obviously he shot poorly from 3 ball, but that wouldn't have helped him out too much given the price tag. So he does feel like he's priced up a little bit too much with Bradley Beal. I'm kind of expecting him to be back. If Bradley Beal sits, sure, we can still look at him, but I don't feel like he's a lock and load play. Laurie finally starting to get respected by the price tags on DraftKings. I still think we could play him, but now he's at the price point as to which he's really only a game stack play given his price point. Obviously, if that game goes off, we want to be on it. We want to be on the studs from that game. For the Jazz, it'd be Clarkson, it'd be Marketing, but 8.8 is a very, very high price tag, so it's tough to really trust him there. Now, I will say I really would like Kuzma if Bradley Beal were to sit 8.4. Yes, a high price tag. I do think we're going to get around 38 to 45 DK points out of him. The shot attempts will be there. The usage will be there. So he'd be a good play in that scenario. Bobby Portis with Drew Holiday back. I don't think we can trust him. He's been someone that we were targeting a lot with Drew Holiday. Now with Drew Holiday back, tough to trust him. His usage goes down, his production goes down. Someone that I think is going to be tough to trust there. You know, if Kevin Huerter were to sit, I could see possibly playing Harrison Barnes. Not something I love though. Jalen Williams is someone that should have a nice high floor. I talk about targeting players on tonight's slate that should have a decent floor. I think Jalen Williams would be one of those players we can see, getting about 25 DK points per game with Alexei and also Robinson Earl out, the 2 centers, the 2 bigs. So, just not a terrible play given that scenario. I should be able to get 20 DK points out of him, which obviously, once again, given that price tag, not something you would love, but given the slate, not terrible. Denny is someone that continues to be an intriguing play, kind of given his price tag. I wouldn't say he's a cash play, but I think he's a strong GPP play, just given the nature of him being able to potentially, get 30 DK points if he gets hot shooting the basketball. The minutes have been there, and he's been pretty solid as a whole. So he is someone that I think we could be looking at on the slate, just GPP wise. I think that makes a lot of sense. Hachimura as well. He's been someone that's been getting a lot of minutes, and the price really hasn't been corrected. I find this very strange. I like the fact that we can go Denny and Hachimura and really be getting a strong kind of GPP focus there. And it's kind of weird because I think we could stack that Bucks-Washington game, just given some of the value that's out there on Washington's side. If that's a game that stays close, maybe goes into OT, we get lucky that way. you know, that could really be a profitable approach. It's a very good price tag. Kendrick Williams is an interesting one as well. I wish his price point was a little bit cheaper. If he was $300 cheaper, I'd feel pretty good about him as a play. But with the bigs out for OKC, it wouldn't be shocking to see him get around 25 minutes. If he does, it wouldn't be shocking to see him get around 20 DK points. Joe Ingles had a terrible night shooting last night against Washington. You know, you don't expect that to happen again, but he's still kind of getting back acclimated. Trey Lyles is going to be a good value play as well. And this is kind of the weird thing, is that I think we are seeing that the forwards, especially the power forwards, are kind of the route to go with Hachimura potentially, with Denny, with Trey Lyles. They're all at cheaper price tags, with Williams as well. We might be fitting 3 of them into our builds, which I don't really love to do. Typically I like to go centers or point guards, really just because of the rebounds and assists, but the slate's kind of breaking down in the sense that we might have to be targeting a few power forwards because he is at a cheap price tag for a guy that's been really productive lately. Grant Williams, also like a guy in a 3-game slate, I don't mind giving the price tag. Once again, like trying to chase 15 DK points and then trying to chase some guys that are studs on the slate. If you end up on him, you're fine with it. You're not really too mad. And that's really it. Let's go ahead and check out some centers. So center wise, obviously Sabonis would be looking like a good play. Probably going to get around 50 DK points, which is what he did against Utah the previous game. Does feel like he's priced up a little bit too much given the recent production. Like, I don't know if we're going to get a ceiling game out of him. But like if you try to get 50 DK points, he'd be a fine play. Brook Lopez is an interesting play to me tonight. He is someone that got into foul trouble early against Washington. I think that's really what caused the game to be a blowout, or part of the reason, I should say. Still had 10 rebounds, almost had a double-double. Obviously, the 10 rebounds were because Giannis was out. Typically doesn't get that many rebounds, but he is someone that can get hot shooting the 3-ball. Does feel like he's a little bit priced up though. And so my biggest problem that I'm having on this slate though is that I don't really love a center play. You know, all the great plays with the bigs were with the power forward. So there is a chance, and they're all listed as like a small forward or power forward. That's the issue. So maybe we're just playing Giannis or Sabonis trying to lock in that upside, and that's potentially the route I think I'll be going. So core plays. Okay, this is going to be a very loose term. It's core plays in quotes because, well, no one's really priced incorrectly. Looking at the 9 of 5 cheat sheet, we have Gafford as the best value. And I didn't even mention him. And then Barnes, Monk, Horford. Like 6X is the best play we're getting. Okay, so nothing pretty there. And I'll touch on Gafford. He is currently questionable. If he does play, I don't mind him as a price point play. Like, it is a cheap price tag. Currently questionable. That's why I didn't bring him up. We have to wait and see on that. So now, get into the core plays. I kind of mentioned I like the idea of chasing the high upside and floor with Jordan Clarkson. Should be a good play given that matchup. You know, the production should be there for him. So core play. Josh Giddey as well. I'd be treating him as a core play as well, just given the price tag. I think, you know, going Clarkson, going Giddey is going to be like 70 DK points, maybe upside to give you 80, 90 DK points. So I do think they are going to be decent starting points, and they'll allow you to fit a stud, whichever stud you want to fit in there. From there, I do think I'm going to load up on a couple of the decent small forward plays that we have here, whether that's Denny, Williams. I think that's kind of the approach that I want to go with. So let's just go ahead and put both of them in there, see kind of what that lineup would look like. For now, I'm just going to go Giannis, and maybe we can even fit some bonus in there in that center spot. Probably not though. Yeah. So instead of Giannis, let's go with Sabonis here. And that's kind of it for the core plays, guys. Hachimura, I feel like is a very good price point play. We could easily put him in there. You know, the upside's there for him. And that's really what I'm trying to chase on this 3-game slate, is both capture a floor with some cheaper price tags and then capture some upside with some of the value price point plays. And then Trey Lyles, because I feel like that is a cheap price tag as well. So let's go ahead and finish out this lineup. We have 8K left over. I would feel pretty good if we could get Drew Holiday in there. Very unfortunate that didn't work out, because I would have been pretty happy with this build. So obviously, most likely have to rebuild. I don't mind Mike Conley at this price tag. You know, I'd be fine with that. Let's go ahead and get off of Williams. You know, I think he's a fine play, good price point. Don't love it. Try to fit Drew in there. 4.8 left over. Let's see what we got. I don't love Horford. Honestly, probably Gafford if he's active. So we can see with the lack of injury news, tough to make a great build tonight. But hey, that's sometimes the slates that we have. You know, we can't control the slates. We can just control how we attack the slates. And I feel pretty good about the approach, at least on tonight's slate. Obviously, come lineup lock, there might be some slate changing news. Typically there is. So, you know, just be prepared for that. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.